everyone, and welcome to the Como Factor podcast. I'm Sonal Trivedi.
And I'm Christine Strobush. Change is hard. Transformative change can feel overwhelming and out of reach. When you use the Como Factor as your guide, you will discover that you can accomplish more than you ever thought possible.
Join us on this journey as we discuss real-life, personal, and professional transformation stories to inspire you to take action and achieve true transformation with sustainable results. For those of you that are new to our podcast, on this episode, we're continuing where we left off in the miniseries that deals with our experience on going from being laid off to launching our own business. Christine and I were laid off from our corporate jobs just a few short months ago, and we went from being laid off to launching our own business within 25 days. Today, we're recording episode 6 of our mini-series while on the road, and it also happens to be the final installment in this podcast mini-series entitled Layoff to Launch. Listeners, whether you've been laid off, are currently out of a job, we promise you'll find this episode interesting and informative. Did you know that a recent study by Pew Research Center says that 15% of adults reported that they were laid off or lost their jobs because of coronavirus outbreak? And half of the adults who say they lost a job due to the coronavirus outbreak are still unemployed. It's no wonder that our world feels informed by fear, anxiety, and depression these days. This is a huge problem in our current society. In our last episode, we discussed how to go from ordinary to one of a kind. And today, we'll discuss what it feels like to go from layoff to launch in 25 days. We're also going to recap how you too can launch your own business in just 25 days, just as Christine and I did. We're going to share with you what it was like to pull out all our values together and live them to finally launch our company, the Como Group. I have to say, Christine and I are living proof that when you gain clarity of your one-of-a-kind purpose and you embrace a meaningful mindset, you can take ownership of the next chapter of your career and be successful. As we're sharing our story with you today, we want you to ask yourself, what would my life look like in 25 days if I decided to live my one-of-a-kind purpose? In all honesty, if we weren't forced to ask ourselves this question due to us being laid off, I'm not sure that we would have launched the Como Group as quickly as we did. Would you agree with that, Christine?
Yeah, Sonal, I would. I think eventually we would have gotten there simply because of who you and I are. But I don't believe we would have been able to move so quickly if we had not dreamed in high definition, reflected on our unique strengths, and listened to the passion in our hearts. Basically, it's as if everything fell into place when we decided to live our one-of-a-kind purpose. And please, guys, don't get me wrong. This journey has not been easy. But when you are fueled by a meaningful mindset and a one-of-a-kind purpose, it is absolutely amazing what you can do.
It sure is. And on that note, I have to say that job security can no longer be taken for granted. You and I have been in the corporate world for 20 plus years each. And I recall those conversations that we had early on, Christine. We were among the majority of Americans who wanted to attain gainful self-employment by being entrepreneurs. As Christine and I can attest, at first, it feels daunting because so many people have dreams of starting their own business, but very few follow through and attempt to go out and actually proceed to do it. Once you launch your own business, there's also no guarantee that it's going to be successful. Would you agree, Christine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Christine, do you know how many businesses failed during their first year?
I think I knew this number. I think it's 15% in the first year.
You are very close. According to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of all new businesses fail in their first year. And to our listeners, we know that whether you're starting a business as a side hustle, or you're trying to replace your day job, or whether or not you're forced to start something new, we know that you want it to succeed. And you want to be in that group of 80% that will succeed. That's why it's imperative to have clarity of what success looks like. It's imperative to have the right knowledge, creating a strategy and executing that strategy. And it's going to be key to have that strategy be essential for making your business successful so that you aren't among the 1 in 5 that fail. Christine, do you want to walk our listeners through what was at stake for us when launching Como and some of the considerations that were preoccupying us?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to do that. As I've mentioned on an earlier episode, as for me, I've got this big, beautiful blended family. I am a proud wife and mother of 5 children, and people wonder, 5 children. So I've given birth to 2. I have one daughter, Sarah, who started high school this year, and what a year to start high school. You know, they're wearing masks every day. It's certainly not the experience that I had imagined for her. I've got a son, Grayson, who's in 2nd grade, and I have 3 beautiful bonus daughters, Olivia and Lexi, who both graduated from university a few years ago. They're doing awesome in their respective careers. And Bella, who is a senior at Texas A&M, and she's going to be the future animal doctor of the family. Because of those girls, I have one son-in-law, a future son-in-law, and Bella's got a serious boyfriend in the mix, and all of them whom we adore. You know, we were supposed to have a family wedding this year. Olivia and Jacob were going to get married in July, but because of COVID, they had to postpone their wedding, and they've moved it to next summer. So we've got this big family, and these are some incredible stakes because these people are my why. And, my husband, Brian, and I, we've been married for 9 years now. And I have been the primary breadwinner of our family for most of that time. Brian has supported me. I have supported his career. And all in all, we are a great team. We work very, very well together. But again, being the primary breadwinner and getting laid off can be pretty scary. So before I go on, Sonal, why don't you share briefly about your personal situation and kind of the stakes for you?
Sure, I'd love to, Christine. So I'm a proud first-generation American. My parents came to the United States to really, provide us with a better future. And my father came here first with $40 in his pocket. And it's been incredible watching how my parents have really created this stability for my brother, my sister, and I. But I'm a mother. I'm a proud mother of 2 children, Brianna and Miles. They are both at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in their business school, and as a freshman and junior. I'm also a life partner to an amazing man. I'm a servant leader, businesswoman, entrepreneur, and transformation practitioner for 20 plus years. But most of all, I'm a people person. And I would say that life has not always been easy. I've had various struggles going through a divorce, trying to find my way through things. But in the end, I would say that I'm a very passionate person because I love life. And for me, it's really, really important to have purpose, goals, planning, and flawless execution. And you guys, for those of you that have been following us through all these podcasts, you'll probably remember in one of our first episodes, a friend of mine said that I've got FOMO. And FOMO stands for fear of missing out. There aren't enough hours in the day to do all the things I want to do. And I know that's the case for many of you listening. I've got a mindset of constantly wanting to learn new things and to truly help others to transform into the best version of themselves. That's what brings me true joy.
So moving on, what I'd like to do now is share just a little bit more about my journey in the hopes that it will inspire our listeners. So a few years ago, my husband and I discovered Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and we became what he calls gazelle intense to pay off all of our debt. And that was a lot of work. And in October of last year, we became 100% debt free except for our mortgage. We had established a 6-month emergency fund, which Dave calls baby step 3. So we concluded on that. And we began baby steps 4, 5, and 6. And what that means is that we were contributing 15% of our income to retirement, and we were funding Sarah and Grayson's college fund while also paying cash for Bella's college at Texas A&M. And we had a plan to pay off our mortgage in 3 years. And all of that being said, you know what happened on May 7th of 2020, 6 months after my husband and I turned this important corner in October 2019. I was laid off from my executive transformation role in a job that I loved. And throughout my academic and professional career, I have always been an overachiever. Those that know me know this is true. So losing my job through reduction in force was really painful. But I was very intentional about my mindset, and I did not let it stop me. I did not let it debilitate me. And friends, it does not matter how successful or accomplished you are. No job is 100% secure. I would even venture to say that everyone at some point in their career will lose their job, whether that's through a layoff, through a furlough, or some other scenario. Everyone will eventually be affected by some kind of unplanned job change in their life. Now, this global pandemic, it has wreaked havoc to so many industries, and thousands of businesses have closed their doors forever. The financial impact of being unemployed can be absolutely devastating to individuals, to families, and to communities. And if we're really honest with ourselves, it can make you feel like a failure. If you're a working parent, being laid off can be incredibly stressful and a very scary time. And if you're not careful, your mind is going to focus on the fear, and it will spin out of control worrying, how are you going to be able to provide for your family? And it is hard to think about what would happen if you're unable to pay for your bills or for health insurance or to meet the endless needs that you and your family may have. No country, no government, no company is going to solve this for us. We must rise up, take ownership, and write our next chapter. And I know that all of this feels a little heavy, but we need to keep going. Think about it. In the United States alone, there are approximately 18 million people unemployed. If we don't do something about this and people remain unemployed for extended periods of time, we are going to see a negative ripple effect across our economy and financial hardship, the likes of the Great Depression. And I remember stories of the Great Depression from my grandparents. My grandfather literally picked cotton in his bare feet in the fields of Oklahoma to help provide for his family. And he did that starting at the age of 5, you guys. This is certainly not the future that I want for our children and our grandchildren's generation. Again, though, the cold reality is this. There is no country, no government, and no company is going to solve this for us. We have to take ownership. We have to write our next chapter. So let's imagine, just imagine for a moment, what our world could look like if everyone decided to gain clarity of their one-of-a-kind purpose and embraced a meaningful mindset, not a scarcity mindset, a meaningful one. What if everyone took ownership of the next chapter of their career? Can you just imagine that world, Sonal?
I can, Christine, because we're actually living in that world today, right? I think back to just a few short months ago and the stress of working 70, 80-hour work weeks where we really had to compartmentalize, and put our work lives separate from our personal. And when you're able to have a meaningful mindset and truly do what brings you joy and use that purpose as your torch to drive what you do day in and day out to help others, I believe that you can truly live a fulfilled life.
Well said. Really well said. So, guys, if we rise up and we write our next chapter and we live our one of a kind purpose, think about this world. We can fuel new technologies, new services, new products, and new innovations that this world has never seen before. And we will set an example for the next generation of leaders, including our children and even grandchildren, that dreams really do come true. So you may be thinking, that's easier said than done. It's easy for you and Sonal, but you don't understand my situation. I will tell you, Sonal and I, we understand more than you probably know. We understand how you feel. Both of us know what it is like to be a single working professional, to be a married working professional, to be a working parent, as well as the challenges and the heartache of being a single parent trying to juggle everything and simply keep your head above water. And earlier this year, we both lost our transformation jobs from the same company on the same day, the National Day of Prayer. And you guys have heard me say this. I believe that that was God closing a door for me so that he can open up a door that takes me to my one-of-a-kind purpose. You see, Sonal and I, we spent the last 20 plus years helping people and businesses to embrace massive change and transform into their best selves. And this includes people, culture, processes, and technology. So when we got laid off, we decided to practice what we preach and live our one-of-a-kind purpose through creating a business dedicated to helping leaders transform themselves, their businesses, and their lives. And we launched our business 25 days after being laid off. And guess what? If we can do it, so can you.
Christine, I'm getting goosebumps sitting here listening to you because, again, I think back, it was just a few short months ago when we embarked on this journey. And indeed, listeners, if we can do it, Christine's right. So can you. And at this point in this podcast, you may be wondering, well, okay, how do I do this for myself? How do I go about launching my own business or a key program or project that I've been longing to get underway? And if you're just, again, joining us for the first time on this episode, in the last 4 episodes, we took our listeners through our 4 Como guiding principles in depth. So we encourage you to go back and listen to those if you haven't already. And we truly believe that this is the only blueprint or plan that you'll need to tackle your ambitions. And we've said many times, true transformation requires much more than optimized business processes and financial results. It requires that connect deep within your heart and soul. And again, we call those our Como guiding principles. C stands for clarity. And we're going to go and recap quite a bit more in the next few minutes. But think about it. It has to start with clarity first. You've got to have a clear vision and strategy that's supported by a clear plan of action. And once you have that, you need to take ownership. And each one of us is responsible for our journey and our decisions. And while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can and we have to take ownership of how we respond to the things that happen to us. M is for meaningful mindset. You are what you think. So we have to be mindful about how and what we think about. O is for one of a kind. And we've got to understand and recognize our unique gifts, talents, core competencies, etc., and harness those strengths to grow. What we say here at the Como Group is the Como factor is literally the X factor on steroids. So let's start with clarity. You've got to gain clarity about your strengths, capabilities, and passions, especially when you're trying to determine your purpose or calling. We say that you should really take a hard look at the intersection of what you're really good at and what you love to do. This is a great indicator of your life's purpose. And once you do that, in order to gain additional clarity on how you can use this to launch your own business, you can ask yourself a few questions, such as, what are my strengths and capabilities? Using these strengths and capabilities, how can I solve a problem or provide a solution to others? What's the purpose of my business? Who are my ideal customers? And who can I help? Are they individuals, businesses, both? What market or industry am I targeting? What problem does my service or product solve? How am I going to position it, communicate it, and market it? What are my financial objectives and projections for my business over the next 5 years? It's really incredibly important to get clarity on where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And I should mention, for those of you that are trying to take notes right now, if you go to thecomofactor.com, you can download all these resources, and we've got it there for you to be able to easily access.
A number of our friends have asked us about how we were able to launch our podcast so quickly. I'll tell you, this whole experience has been new and exciting, to say the least. Above and beyond having an amazing team, we use this incredible tool called Anchor. Sonal, why don't you share a little more about Anchor with our listeners?
Well, to record our podcast, The Como Factor, you guys, if you haven't already heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you, first of all, it's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor even distributes your podcast for you, so it can be heard on platforms like Spotify, Apple, and much more. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one easy to access place. When Christine and I decided that we wanted to go into business for ourselves, it was only because we took charge and put the wheels in motion that we were able to get our business launched in 25 days. And I don't know where it comes from, but there's a saying that goes like, ideas without action are just dreams. And think about this for a second. You can have all the clarity you could possibly need, but if you don't take action and start executing, you're not going to get where you want to go. Having a good business plan is imperative. Create that plan and use it as your playbook to execute. And trust us, there are going to be days where you're not going to be motivated, where you've run into a hurdle. So long as you keep showing up and execute your plan, you will most certainly see small wins, which will lead to successful outcomes for both you and your business. And it's also important to remember the challenges that you're experiencing now will enable you to help and serve others with those same challenges in the future, which will ultimately bring more meaning to your life. And remember that no one is going to tell you what to do as an entrepreneur. Right, Christine?
Exactly, Sonal. And that's why you have to have a meaningful mindset as the next building block in the plan. You have to be intentional with your thoughts, self-motivated, willing to take risks, and you're going to make many sacrifices so that you can last for the long haul while your company goes from startup to long-term success. You've got to take control of your thoughts, and you have to believe that you can do it. That saying from Gandhi is just perfect for this. And it goes like this: your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. And your values become your destiny. Like we discussed on our episode titled From Meaningless to Meaningful Mindset, you cannot plant thorn bushes and expect to harvest grapes. Nor can you plant or allow someone else to plant negative, fearful, or discouraging thoughts and expect to have a life of love, joy, peace, and success. Now, having a meaningful mindset applies to us as individuals, but also business organizations. As business leaders, we have the honor and the responsibility for creating our company culture. One bad apple can spoil the bunch, and we know about that, right, Sonal?
We sure do.
And one bright light can shine a light in the darkness. Having a meaningful mindset makes all the difference. Our last but not least guiding principle of Como is one of a kind. Each of us were created with unique gifts, talents, passions, and capabilities. And it just makes me so sad to think that there are people in the world who view themselves as just ordinary rather than the extraordinary people that they are. So we recommend that you make some time to really deeply reflect upon and embrace what makes you one of a kind, what differentiates you from other people. The intersection of what you're really good at and what you love to do is a great indicator of your life's purpose. So I want to leave you with this thought. If you knew that you only had a certain number of years left to live on this earth, how would you spend your time? What would your legacy be? Really think about that. So when we started on this journey, which really began the day we got laid off, Sonal and I asked ourselves, what would our life look like in 25 days if we decided to live our one-of-a-kind purpose? We encourage you to reflect on your life today and assess whether you are truly living your one-of-a-kind purpose. Are you on track to reach your full potential of that purpose? If you answered no, then use this Como framework of clarity, ownership, meaningful mindset, and one of a kind to fulfill your vision and your purpose. And if you use the Como factor to dream in high definition and work with your promise partner, just as Sonal and I did, you will be able to successfully achieve your vision. If you need help applying and living these Como guiding principles, we suggest that you get a promise partner of your own who can guide you through your transformation. If you need additional resources to get started, such as a mentor or a coach to hold yourself accountable for making it happen, you can always reach out to us at thecomofactor.com. We would be delighted to serve you.
And to tell you the truth, this was not possible for us just a few months ago in our corporate careers. Since we kicked off our company, we can say that we truly have balance in our personal and professional lives. The only way to be satisfied in your life is to do work that you truly believe in. We're doing just that with our company, the Como Group. In addition to launching our consulting practice, Christine is now a certified Business Made Simple coach, and our offering now includes Business Made Simple coaching and workshops. We're also getting ready to publish our first book on true transformation over the next couple of months. We've launched this podcast and hitting now double digits on our recordings. We launched an information technology center in India and have many, many more business ventures to look forward to. And we're, again, not sharing this with you to toot our own horns, but hopefully to inspire you that you too can live this life. And with all this in motion, sometimes it's hard to believe that it was just a few short months ago. Wouldn't you say, Christine?
I agree with you, Sonal, but I would also say we are just getting started.
Yes, we are. So listeners, imagine what your life will look like in 25 days when you're living your one-of-a-kind purpose. You'll have more freedom than you ever thought possible, and the world will be better because of you. So what are you waiting for? Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Believe that you can succeed and you'll find ways through different obstacles. And if you don't, you'll just find excuses.
No excuses, people, please. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Until next time, and for more tips and tools, as well as to see all of the episode highlights from this podcast, visit us at thecomofactor.com.